What's up, NIO family? It's Rey-Jay back with another video. And in this one, I want to break down what's happening with NIO, Tesla, SPY, and the overall market. And break down some big news that just came out that's affecting NIO and that you should be watching for as time goes on. Just know that I am not a financial planner, so take nothing I'm saying as financial advice. Anyways, as far as NIO is going, I want to see if we could break this 3.5 area to start pushing back up to fill this gap around 3.62. If we end up losing 3.48, there's going to be a risk of us returning to these lows. We notice that we have a nice double bottom-like structure. We're holding support, and there is upside potential if we break that 3.54 area. Now, looking at some news, Goldman Sachs have given us a neutral rating at least so far. And then on top of this, we also have the price-price ratio dipping as NIO is showing some weakness. When it comes to our seasonality, there tends to be more volatility during the second to last hour of the day, and Wednesdays tend to be green about 55% of the time historically. So keep that data in mind. However, we haven't seen as many tariff threats from President Trump involving China. It looks like his attention has been focused elsewhere. And for the time being, we're seeing the market rebounding, and that is helping NIO to some extent. NIO has been talking about their ES6, which is getting a lot of attention, which is good news for them. We're going to be watching to see what that leads to as well. So we had some news that came out involving Jerome Powell. He was speaking in front of, well, not really speaking, it's more like he was giving a testimony, excuse me, which means that he was being interrogated by many congressional members from the U.S. House Finance Committee. And they were basically just asking him lots of questions about interest rates and this and that. Jerome Powell just said the same things over and over again about how the Fed has to be very, very patient. We have to wait and see what happens with the tariffs coming out, and also because there are some risks of higher inflation, especially during the summer period. So if we do get those higher inflationary risks, that would in turn incentivize the Fed to just keep policy as is. They also are doing this because of the fact that there is a there's risk right now because with potential higher inflation, the economy is still doing well, and the economy can handle these higher rates. So that's what he's been saying so far. Tomorrow is going to be Wednesday, June 25th. As a reminder, we also have some new home sales data. And at 10 a.m., we have Jerome Powell once again giving a testimony, this time in front of the Senate committee. So that's going to be very important. They're going to also continue to ask him questions. Typically, there's not as much volatility. And, today we didn't get much of a move. The market did push higher, but it wasn't that crazy. And there's a good chance that whatever Jerome Powell says may also cause volatility. So be ready. This is what the earnings calendar looks like. We have some retail later on for the next couple of days, by the way. For more news, we're seeing some news coming out that manufacturing is taking a small hit as we're continuing to see higher tariffs being imposed on China and other areas. But we have to see if there's more deals that could be coming as we approach the July deadline. On top of this, there's been some more news about how President Trump was very unhappy with Israel and Iran. He really lashed out against them because he was saying there's supposed to be a ceasefire, but instead we did see them each striking each other again. Now there is news coming out that despite that, some headlines suggest that at least, at least for right now, the ceasefire might be in place right now. We're going to have to wait and see about this just to be safe because you never know with these countries. We are seeing some news that Iran wants to retaliate because they claim that they had to strike some missiles that were launched towards them, and there are still threats. So I don't know for sure if the ceasefire is in place, but there's other sources saying that the ceasefire could be coming, and that if anything, there's less violence now, and the situation should get better. So we're going to see about that. President Trump also said he wasn't looking for a regime change in Iran. If anything, he just wants them to end the violence. So we're going to see if that ends up being the case. When it comes to other pieces of news, there's news coming out that the U.S.'s strikes on Iran did not really destroy their nuclear program, but it did delay them by many months so far. So we're going to see how that goes. President Trump also said that Iran will never rebuild their nuclear facilities. Israel is not going to strike Iran. He said that many hours ago. They did end up striking each other, but President Trump is still insisting that things are going to get better. He's saying that China can now continue to purchase oil from Iran, and hopefully they will be purchasing plenty from the U.S. soon. And that both Israel and Iran wanted to stop the war equally. It was his great honor to destroy all nuclear facilities and capability and then stop the war. So he's still talking about that. So there's a lot of uncertainty, right? I am seeing some sources saying that the war may be coming to an end. There could be a ceasefire. At the same time, there's other sources saying that Iran and Israel are still threatening each other and there could be more strikes coming. So we just don't know. I'm going to wait until tomorrow to see if that ends up being the case. But so far, despite the attacks that are continuing, the market is very optimistic about the ceasefire potentially coming. And so far, it remains more bullish. As a result, I want to see NIO break 3.54 tomorrow, try to push for the 3.6s. We're forming a nice double bottom here. That does typically lead to some upsides. We have some gaps to fill. So hopefully we go higher for the 3.6s. On SPY, the 4 hour is looking a bit more bullish. We have a nice inverse head and shoulders like structure. And we're going to be watching to see what ends up happening right here as we approach the 610 area. Now, if we end up losing 605, we could be turning a little bit lower. If 603 fails us, we could be returning back down to 600. But as of right now, we are favoring the upwards direction for an attempt to get to about 610. So overall, I do like the fact that we have a bull flag breakout. We are looking bullish. There's a tough resistance at 608. We might consolidate here, but I do think we could still try for 610 later. We still look bullish nonetheless. The QQQ is also looking bullish. We're looking for the all-time highs. We're super, super close to them. We might be testing 540 to 541. We'll see if it breaks that or not. May consolidate between 538 and 541 for some time. We'll see if we can break that. Might go a little bit higher, but be careful at resistance. On the IW, we're making higher lows, so that's a good sign. We might be trying to push for like 216 plus. ES is looking bullish. Nice breakout right here. We're going to see if we can break past 61, 68 to eventually 6,200. If we end up losing 68, we're looking for a dump back down, but we're still looking a bit more bullish, favoring the higher 6100s. For NQ, we're looking bullish as we're making higher lows. Nice breakout. I want to see if we can break above 22,500. If that's the case, we're going higher. If we lose 22,250, we could turn back down, but this is still favoring upside. Bitcoin looks bullish. We're looking for an attempt for 106,500 to see if that breaks higher. If we lose 104,000, we're turning back down, but this is still favoring upside for 107,000. Tesla's dipping right here. It did get a big hit with some lawsuit news, and also it's a reaction after the big pump we got. But this could still be forming kind of like an inverse head and shoulders. This is like a this is like a head, left shoulder, and a right shoulder right here, which means we could dip a little bit more to 333, and we want to see if we could bounce here to get a nice rebound move. But I do see a little bit more downside for 333 potentially coming. We'll see if we bounce from there. Nvidia looks bullish. We might be retesting 146, and we'll see if we bounce off that to continue to go higher. If 146 fails, we could dip back down, but this still favors a dip and a bounce. Still looks bullish. Apple has to hold 199. If that holds, we're looking for a nice rebound to go higher. If we lose 199, we could be dipping back down to 196, so hopefully we bounce. Netflix looks bullish, favoring 1300 as a potential target. There's no sign of it slowing down quite yet. AMD looks bullish. We're still favoring 140 plus or above. I think we're doing great right now. Coinbase looks bullish, favoring 350. We're going to see if that continues to break out. As long as Amazon does not lose 211.5, we're favoring 215 as our target. Looks bullish. Meta's favoring 715 to 720. Google could be retesting 169. We might consolidate here before it starts pushing for the 170s. And Microsoft could be dipping back down to about 488, and we'll see if we bounce as well. So keep that in mind. The VIX is dumping right here in big rejection. It might be dipping a little bit lower as we have a triple top rejection, and that's typically accompanied by the market going higher. So keep that in mind. With that being said, I want to thank you all so much for listening. Please have a very awesome rest of your guys' days. I'll be back with another video very soon. Please take care. And just know that as far as NIO is going with the market trying to bounce and no negative news involving China and its geopolitics right now, things are looking a bit more bullish for NIO. We have like a double bottom that's forming. So long as we don't lose 3.4, we're favoring 3.62 or above to about 3.7 as our target for a small bounce. So keep that in mind. Thank you for listening and peace out.